Hello and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. Today we're going to be working out of the Poole's Diner Cookbook. I have it here for reference. And we're going to be making cast iron roast chicken with garlic and herbs. Now, I haven't made this previously, but my husband did make this for me. So I was about to say, I guess it should be easy, but I should be able to do this. However, there's one step that he didn't do, I'm fairly certain, but I'm gonna have to do. He bought a whole chicken. He was gonna smoke it and do it that way. And then we said, oh, let's do a recipe from the book, even though we're already doing 2 recipes this weekend. So here we go. The first step, before I cut up the chicken, is to make a brine. For this brine, we have half of the water in here, not super cold, just from the tap. And we have, it's a 2-part salt. Mine's been sitting out for a little bit. 2 parts salt and 1 part sugar. And I'm just gonna stir this until it's all dissolved in here. The rest of the water, it's also cold from the tap, but I went ahead and put in some ice cubes to kind of keep it cold because our tap water right now, it's summer and our tap water is not very cold. And I just don't want the chicken, to get too warm. And she does say to do this in a pot. And honestly, that's like the only thing I have that will probably hold it without sloshing when I put it in the refrigerator. So I decided that was a good idea. I couldn't think of anything else. And I have already made room in my refrigerator for this pot. So, all right, I think it's all starting to look kind of clear now. And I'm gonna add the rest of the water with the ice cubes. All right. That is our brine. No other flavors, just salt and sugar. And I will be right back to cut up a chicken. We have our chicken. It's about twice the size of the chicken she recommends, but that's what we have, so that's what we're gonna do. This should be fine. It doesn't really matter. It's the percent solution that matters, not really how much salt to chicken, I think. As long as it covers it, it'll be fine. I'm gonna take out, it's a roasting chicken. It comes with this little useless pop-up timer thing. I'm gonna take that out first. And okay, I have never done this before. I have spatchcocked a chicken. I have, I often cut up wings, and I've even deboned a chicken thigh, but this is my first time doing this. So I watched a video and we're gonna try to do this. So the first step is to make a little cut here in the skin so you can see where the thigh ends, and that seems to be right there. And then just sort of make, oh, that's right. I think I'm supposed to pop the bone. I should have watched this video. There we go. And then you cut near the bone. That's it. I should have watched the video more recently. Okay, so there you can kind of see the thigh bone, and then you cut there, and we have a chicken thigh. Now, thigh and leg quarter. Now, you can buy this. You can buy a chicken cut up like this, or you can go to the butcher counter and have them cut one up like this, but like I said, this is what we have. So I'm gonna just put this in here and do the other side. If you're squeamish, this is not for you. That's a long thigh bone. There we go. It's not super sharp, but okay. There's the other leg quarter. Now, the video I watched, she took the wings off, but we're not going to do that. But I am going to go ahead and cut off the tips, which Ashley says to do. I don't usually bother doing it perfectly when I'm just cutting it up for chicken wings, but so I don't really care if there's a little bit bone left. There we go. And the good part about having your own whole chicken is you get a whole backbone that you can use to make stock. So we're going to use the wingtips and the backbone and the neck bone that's in the little baggie. I left out the livers because they cook really quickly and kind of make your stock super cloudy. Doesn't really taste bad in my opinion, even though I don't like livers. So doesn't make your stock taste bad anyway. Okay, so the next step, now you see this fat line, that is where I'm going to cut here to remove the backbone. If I do a good job anyway. All right. And there's a lot of bone and everything. You can use scissors too. That's what I usually do for when I spatchcock a chicken. I use kitchen shears a lot. Very helpful. All right. And now just do the other side the same way. Get the kitchen shears in there. It's just easier. Here we go. So this part is the backbone. You can see there's a lot of good meat on there, a lot of little bones that will make really good stock. So I'm going to put that in my stock pot over here. And now, if you make a little notch in this bone in the middle, you can then turn it this way so you can see, maybe break it. Yep, hear the bone break there, and then it kind of flattens. And then just cut along the middle. There's a bone in there. There we go. And we have breast quarters. I'm going to trim a little bit of this fat off, a little bit of the extra fat that's not really covering meat, and put it in our brine. All right, oh, a little bit of bone came off there. All right, into the brine it goes. I am going to clean all this up, put this in my refrigerator, probably going to put a lid on it, and we're going to wait 8 to 12 hours, which is a bad time for a home cook, in my opinion, unless you get up early in the morning and do this and then have it for dinner, or you stay up really, really late at night and then have it like for lunch, maybe. It just, the timing doesn't work out. I don't think it'll hurt too much if you go longer than 8 to 12 hours. You probably want at least 8 just to get the meat flavored well. Anyway, with the brine, whatever. 8 to 12 hours, we'll be back to cook our chicken. See you in a minute. My chicken was in the brine in the refrigerator for almost 6 hours. No, not 6 hours, almost 8 hours. You can go up to 12 according to the recipe, whatever. I have my oven on convection at 300. Oh yeah, okay. And you want your rack sort of in the lower third. So I've got that all set up. Had to verify because I forgot to check the rack. Took my chicken out of the brine and I patted it dry with some paper towels and lightly salted, currently only the top. I'll lightly salt the bottom after we put it in here. So I've got my cast iron pan. I'm going to hope that I can fit all of these pieces in this cast iron pan because the breasts are kind of huge. Anyway, my cast iron pan is preheating at medium high. And I'm going to add, I'm not going to measure this, I'm just not. But I'm going to add some neutral vegetable oil. I think that's fine. And we're just going to wait for it to shimmer. My stove doesn't take that long, but then the cast iron sometimes takes a little while to sort of build heat. So because my breasts are, my chicken breasts here are so large, I'm going to try to put those in first and see if I can make it, make them all fit. We'll see. The point here is to get as much the skin in as much contact with the pan as possible. Pretty good. Don't spit at me. All right. Now I know this is loud. I'm going to lightly salt this side just because I haven't. There's no pepper so far in this recipe, so it's interesting. I'm going to let this go for about a minute. So this has been about a minute, and now we're going to put our herbs and garlic in the pan. Now, my garlic kind of fell apart when I tried to cut it across the equator. It's fine. I'm supposed to put these cut side down in the pan. I'm just going to do my best here. And also some thyme and some rosemary. I'm just going to try to get that in contact with the bottom of the pot pan if I can, but it'll be fine. All right, we're gonna let this go for about 4 to 5 minutes. We want the skin to be really crispy before we put it in the oven. So it's been about 4 minutes or so since I put the garlic in here, and we don't want it to burn. So now we're sort of taking it up and putting it on top of the chicken as per the directions. You see how it's pretty brown there. We just don't want it to burn. We want to put it on top of the chicken so that it, I guess we'll flavor the chicken. So my skin is kind of sticking. I'm hoping I'm not going to pull it up. I'm hoping that when we put it in the oven and as it gets really crispy, it will release like it's supposed to. But we put it in the oven like this, except we need to add some unsalted butter on top of every piece. So just kind of spreading it around. Putting all of the unsalted butter in here. Fine, and I'm going to put this, I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to slide it in the oven for 30 minutes. Our chicken's been in the oven at 300 convection 325 non-convection if you do not have a convection oven, for probably a little more than 30 minutes because I forgot to set a timer. And now we're gonna see if we can turn it over. So I'm gonna take the nice herbs and stuff off of it, and we're going to some of it's sticking. But there we go. Got one turned over. I've turned my oven up to 450 convection. My cast iron pan is not perfectly seasoned, sadly, but it's getting better. All right, so I'm gonna try to put as much of the skin over top as I can. There's a lot of juices in the bottom of the pan, so. There we go, that skin just stuck. Whatever, okay. So there we go. That's the best I can do. I'm gonna transfer some of this stuff. Actually, no, I'm gonna leave this stuff on the bottom. And when my oven is fully preheated, it's not yet, I'm going to stick it into the oven for 10 minutes. And then I'm going to verify that ours is done. I'm going to use my probe thermometer and make sure that the breasts are at least at about 160, 165 is completely done for breasts. The legs are usually in the 180s and then they're done. But usually when the breasts are at 160, the legs will be fine at 180 because they're smaller, as you can see. So not almost there. I've got a few minutes, but I'm just gonna wait till my oven beeps, put this in, same place in the oven, 10 minutes, and we'll be back. So our roast chicken is out of the oven and it's been out for about 10 minutes. The leg quarters were done at the usual 10 minutes, but the breasts took another 5 to 7 minutes. They're huge. So I'm going to put those on this plate. They've been resting for 10 minutes on a sheet tray with a rack on top of it, but I'm just going to put them on this serving dish now that they've been resting for the 10 minutes required in the recipe. And I'm gonna put those right there because we're gonna finish those with a pan sauce. And the first thing I'm gonna do is, because I want to eat these garlic cloves, I'm going to take some of the garlic cloves out of the pan and put them on the serving dish because I love some roasted garlic. Try to get as many out of the skin as possible. There we go. And then we have a pan sauce to make here. So I think that's as good as we can do for this. I have a shallow saucepan here with a small strainer set into it, because you can either pull all of this out with your tongs or you can just strain it. I'm just gonna strain it. So I'm gonna pour all of this into there. I don't know why she doesn't make the pan sauce in the pan, because that seems like the usual thing to do, but we're just gonna do it the way she says. And I'm gonna have to pull that out. Great. Okay. So you can see we left behind all of the herbs and the garlic skins, and we're done with that. And what we're gonna do now is bring this up to a simmer on medium heat, and I'm gonna need a whisk. So sadly, all I have is my really huge whisk, but that's all right, it'll be fine. So we're gonna bring this up to a simmer, and then we're gonna add some things to it. So, one second. All right, so we brought these to a simmer, you can see, and we're supposed to cut the heat. I'm gonna turn it down to basically low, and I'm gonna use the same thing. We're gonna add some lemon juice. I'm just straining out the seeds with this. And whisk in some olive oil. I'm measuring this time. All right. Now that actually emulsified a lot better than I expected it to. So you spoon this over your chicken and serve. And that's it. That's it for the dish. And we'll let you know what we think about it in just a minute. On this episode of Cooking the Books with Heather, you watched me make cast iron roast chicken with garlic and herbs from Ashley Christensen's Poole's Diner Cookbook. And I have to say, we made this a long time ago. Somehow we filmed an awful lot and forgot to talk about this one. So you can probably tell from the length of my hair, which has not been cut since January due to, events. We forgot to talk about it, and now we need to film it. So I had to go back and watch this video myself. And I will say it didn't work great for me. The chicken skin stuck, which may have been the fault of my cast iron pan. I really need to use it more often. It was not super non-stick. A lot of juices accumulated in the pan, which also kind of made the skin not really crispy at the end. I might, cook it skin side up more, maybe the whole time. I don't know. I'd have to try it again actually to see, but I did notice that it didn't turn out exactly right for me. Other than that, it's not a really difficult recipe, and it was still delicious, even though the skin didn't turn out as crispy as I would have preferred. With the sauce, it was still good. The kids enjoyed it. The sauce is not anything weird, so they enjoyed it. And I made it a little bit more difficult than I really had to by actually cutting the chicken into pieces. So easy to go to the grocery store and buy a cut up chicken, or if you go or have your butcher at the grocery store cut it up for you. But it's not that bad if you happen to have a whole chicken, which is what I had when we decided to make this. So yeah, I would make it again. I may try it again just like this now that I think my cast iron skillet is a little bit more nonstick. I've been using it a little bit more since then. Been trying to do right by it. So I might try it again just as is. But if that doesn't work again, if the skin doesn't get crispy, I would try it cooking it skin side up more of the time. Anyway, so if you enjoyed watching me make this, please give me a thumbs up. Share with your friends if you think they might enjoy it. And subscribe. Come back and watch me make something else next week.